For today, in the name of freedom, we take the battle to them.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the video that I have both been looking really forward to and also dreading to make for the entire year, and that is ranking every single movie that I watched in 2025. This is of course going to include both the movies of this year, like Sinners, Thunderbolts, whatever, and also everything else I watched this year. So the movie could have come out in 1920 and it could be on this list. Now, I did this last year and the video ended up being almost 4 hours long, so I am going to try and keep it around the 1 hour, 1.5 hour mark, okay? I both am saying this for your sake and for my sake because as of right now, my phone can only record 54 minutes of video. So I'm going to hope and pray that I don't talk too much this time. So yeah, I'm not going to give every movie that much attention. And I realize I'm dragging this intro out too long. So let's just get started with easily last place. Bloody hell. Number 70 is going to be The Strangers Chapter 2. This is 30 movies less than last year, but I think even if I had watched 30 more movies, this would still be at the bottom. My review for this movie is up, and I think that I've sworn more in that video than I have in anything I've ever recorded. This is one of the dumbest and worst films I've ever had the displeasure of witnessing, and I think that honestly, I was stupid to consider paying money to actually go watch this in the cinemas. I would have just offed myself right there. This is an absolute piece of trash, and honestly, them saying, oh yeah, you'll understand why we made the first movie the way we did so that this one will make sense. No. There's maybe like 5 lines of dialogue in this movie. Apart from that, it's just Madeleine Petsch running, which this franchise has completely turned me off against Madeleine Petsch. Bloody hell. Turned me off on Madeleine Petsch. I know she's a great actress probably, but I just don't care to see her again because it'll just make me think of this disaster of a franchise. The First Strangers is the only amazing one. Maybe Pray at Night too. Coming number 69, which I honestly didn't think that it would get beaten for worst of the year, is a Minecraft movie. I love Minecraft. I love Jack Black. I love Jason Momoa. What can go wrong? I hate this movie. I hate this movie. It's not even a movie. It's a movie. It's just a bunch of memes thrown together. And it's the most incoherent piece of rubbish that Warner Brothers has ever shat out. Or at least in the last couple of years. It's god-awful. It's terrible. I think that it's unfair, obviously, because of course, I don't play that many games. Minecraft is like one of the few games where I actually get joy out of playing it. But it's so unfair that Sonic, a game franchise that I've never played a single Sonic game. Sonic, look what happened to Sonic. Sonic 3 ended up being like my second favorite movie of last year. And even the first 2 movies are damn good. And then the one game that I actually play gets this. It's such a shame. It really, really is. But I don't want to give this thing any more attention. So let's just move on to the next one, shall we? Coming number 68 is going to be The Fantastic Four. This is Fantastic, the absolute disaster version of the Fantastic Four. It takes over half of the movie for them to get their powers. What is this shit? Look, obviously you guys know I love horror, okay? I love horror, and I think that the idea of taking the Fantastic Four's abilities and making it a more horror-esque thing can work, just not for an actual Fantastic Four movie. You know what I mean? Like taking a guy who's made up of a bunch of rocks, a guy who can just stretch for some reason, a guy who can get set on fire. Those are cool things that you can implement into a horror film, just not for an actual Fantastic Four movie. It doesn't work. It does not work at all. The only thing I think that this movie, it gets a 0.5 out of 10. The only reason why this movie doesn't get a 0 is just because I think that bit of Doctor Doom walking through the hallway and just making everyone's heads explode, I think is so fucking awesome. That's literally it. That is it. I love my gore, and it was cool to actually see a version of Doctor Doom do something that violent. You know, I mean, obviously, I'm not the most up-to-date person with the comics, but I think apart from ripping out Thanos' spine, I haven't heard anything that, well, I say that violent, that's not that violent, but anything like remarkably like Art the Clown levels of violence from Doctor Doom. But yeah, that's a disaster of a film. Number 67, don't say it. Number 67 is Jurassic World Rebirth. This movie has just fallen lower and lower and lower and lower. I am a die-hard Jurassic fan, Jurassic fan, and the original Jurassic Park is a film that I will cherish for the rest of my life. It is the movie that changed me. I say changed me. I was like 4 when I saw it, okay? It made me who I am. I love Jurassic Park. And the franchise from then on, I don't think it was the strongest. I never liked The Lost World. I know a lot of people do. I really like Jurassic Park 3. Jurassic World, I absolutely love. I adore that movie to death. Fallen Kingdom, wasn't a fan of. And a hot take is that I really, really liked Dominion. I've seen Dominion like, 4 or 5 times now. And then for Jurassic World Rebirth, I was excited because I was like, right, new Jurassic movie. And it ended up being complete shit. This movie, there's nothing good in this movie apart from the CGI. The characters are stupid as hell. The writing is god awful. The dialogue is so bad. You can tell immediately who's gonna live, who's gonna die. There's zero logic allowed in this movie, and they go ahead and retcon things from the first Jurassic Park. And they also introduce Rodan and this freaking xenomorph Rancor looking motherfucker. Fuck this movie. This is, I know The Strangers Chapter 2 and a Minecraft movie are lower. This is the movie that pissed me off the most out of this year. It was the most infuriating pile of garbage that I've ever seen. I was on a call with my friend, and you know, it was fun to talk about this movie because we both basically became friends because of Jurassic, and you know, we were on the call for 4.5 hours. We started at like 9 p.m., finished about 1, 2 in the morning, because he at the time really liked the movie. I was talking with him. Nowadays, he doesn't hate it as much as me, I don't think, but he's like fallen out of love a bit with it. But you know, it just goes to show how different people's opinions can be. But yeah, overall, just please just put David Kep in a retirement home, man. Oh my god, get this man out of my sight. I don't ever want to hear his name again. Number 66 is going to be the Snow White remake. I mean, I don't really need to say much about this movie. You've heard, you know, all the hell stories, the reshoots, Rachel Zegler and everything. There just really wasn't anything good here. Yeah, I think that's enough said. 65 is going to be Fantasy Island. This is it's a random one. It's a sort of just a movie that I just chucked on because I was like, you know what, might as well just watch something. And yeah, it wasn't that great. The concept is good. The concept is quite nice, but I just think that it was too silly. The writing was just, I just didn't really like much of it. I thought that the like plot twist towards the end was a bit, like, it was ambitious. You know, I respect them having balls to do something like that, but yeah, I think wasting Luis from the Ant-Man movies, you can't do that, man. But yeah, again, you know, I quite like this concept. I just wish that it had been in a better form. Number 64 is going to be The Curse of La Llorona. This is obviously the Conjuring spin-off. I put it in quotation marks. I don't know why, because they keep saying, oh, it's not actually a spin-off. Shut the fuck up, okay? I don't know how people can deny that this is a Conjuring spin-off film when Annabelle is literally in the movie. I know it's a flashback, but she's still in the film. The priest guy is there. This movie it was so generic. Apart from that, you know, I guess a Conjuring film, it's very, very bad. You know, like, I didn't hate it as much as other people because I sort of had my expectations like on the ground. But the one thing that I will say that actually puts this movie higher than a few below it is I think that La Llorona is genuinely a creepy looking entity. Obviously, it's a very generic look nowadays for monsters, for like demons and stuff. This pale woman with, you know, a veil or white clothing and just, you know, dark eyes and stuff like that. It's a very generic look. but I think that she does look cool in certain scenes, but especially towards the end, it's like, no, you just look like a regular woman now. And they're making a sequel to this movie, but what I don't understand is that this is the movie that made them go, oh yeah, let's give this guy the next 2 Conjuring movies. Oh my god. This is one of the worst, this is probably bottom 2 of the Conjuring franchise. And I don't know why they thought that Michael Chavez, after this movie, was good enough to make 2 Conjuring films. Especially after James Wan made them. Number 63 is gonna be Kraven the Hunter. This is the final Spider-Man related movie that I have, yet to watch. And to be honest, that's the only reason I watched it. It's just so I can say that I have officially seen every single Spider-Man movie. And don't go and tell me, oh, there's actually the Spider-Man from the 70s or the 60s. And shut the fuck up, okay? This movie was so painful to sit through. Oh my god. It's like, oh god. 60% of this movie is set in the flashback. You see in the trailers of young Kraven fighting the lion. That is 60% of this movie. It was so painful to watch. And I said last year, I watched Madam Web when I was in hospital. That movie was second last in that ranking. I watched it in hospital and I wanted to ask the nurses to euthanize me. This movie is so bad. It's terrible. It's terrible. You get like a bit of blood, but apart from that, that's all you really get. And I think that Aaron Taylor Johnson, could have been a good Kraven, but I think Jason Momoa would have been better. I really don't know why they made this movie, because, if, we could have had this be a Spider-Man villain. Hell, he was supposed to be in Black Panther. This is what we get. So yeah, I didn't like this movie at all. Number 62 is gonna be The Nun. I know that I said, the La Llorona is probably the worst of the movies in the Conjuring universe, but The Nun was pretty freaking terrible. This is just so bad, because you see Valak in the original, in the second Conjuring movie, of course. Amazing film. And then, you get to this movie, and obviously we know what Valak is, we know what it looks like. Why do you hide her for so much of the movie? It makes no sense to me. I don't understand these prequels where obviously we know what the entity is. So why do you hide it for so long? I think that the opening scene was pretty cool. The way that, it was the post-credit scene of Annabelle Creation, which I watched after The Nun. But I think that the shot of Valak sort of coming close towards the window and that awesome music playing in the background, it was so good. And then it just went downhill. I hate how Valak looks in the third act. She looks so cheap. She looks like one of those animatronics at like a fun house or something that would jump out at you. That's how fake she looks. She doesn't even look like a real person. So yeah, I also think that spitting the blood of Jesus on her, how is that gonna work? And then, the fact that they reuse it in the second movie doesn't really make that much better, but we'll get to that one. So yeah, The Nun is just... poor Valak. Number 61 is gonna be Trap. This is a movie that I think came out last year, I want to say, because I watched this on a plane, and yeah, that's not gonna be the last time I mention that I was on a plane. Trust me, it'll make sense. This movie was just so... Like, the trailers painted it to look so good. Like, the concept is brilliant. I absolutely love the concept of this movie, but the execution just wasn't very good. And I think that M. Night Shyamalan has just completely fallen off. So, yeah, just very goofy. Too many, things that were like, oh, this had to work out perfectly in order for him to get away. I just wasn't really a fan of it. So, yeah. Number 60 is going to be The Monkey. This is the movie by Osgood Perkins, who, of course, is Anthony Perkins' son. And, after Long Legs, I was quite excited for this because I quite enjoyed Long Legs. I think it was really cool, interesting concept. But The Monkey I was excited for different reasons, because I was like, what, this is going to be fucking awesome. You got a toy monkey and the Final Destination premise. Bro, this is going to be amazing. And then it just ended up being the first, I would say 60% of the film I think were really good. It's that third act where it sort of like falls out for me. And also I think that they like play with the rules a bit too much with the monkey itself, being like, oh yeah, every time you twist it, someone around you will die. But then the monkey can just like wind itself, and it doesn't really make much sense. So yeah, I think that Osgood Perkins shouldn't really play in this field of goofy movies. I think that he should stick to the more serious stuff. Like, obviously, I'm saying this purely because it's his father, but I think that if he was to make a movie tonally the same as Psycho, I think he would do a brilliant job. Number 59 is going to be The Nun 2. This isn't really that much better than the first movie. And honestly, you could argue for either of them as to which one's worse, and I wouldn't really argue with you that much. But what this one does have is some pretty cool shots. Okay, there are some really, really cool scenes here, even though the movie itself isn't that great, because we are sort of rediscovering the things which we already learned in both The Conjuring 2 and the first Nun, so that's already kind of boring. Then you have, just like so all this like detective work and shit, again, things we already know, so that was kind of pointless. But in terms of the positives of this movie, I will say that the shot of Valak sort of like hiding in the shadows of the staircase in the school, I think was fucking creepy. That was awesome. I love shots like that. But it does come after a scene which makes no sense. Like Valak showing that girl like her standing in the Warrens hallway from The Conjuring 2, which is like what, 10 years in the future? Sure, I don't know if Valak can time travel or what, but that makes no sense. But another positive is I think that Valak looks way better in this movie. Yes, she looks very CGI'd, very clean, but I definitely prefer it to how she looked in the first movie, to where she literally just looked like a prosthetic like robot thing. I also think that the backstory they were setting up for Valak is kind of cool, because ultimately after 2 movies we still haven't really learned anything about this demon. And I also forgot to mention in the first nun segment, they said that she takes the form of a nun to hide amongst the nuns, to disguise herself again as them. So then why is she a nun in The Conjuring 2? That makes no sense. So that's something I sort of just want to disregard, because obviously that would then make The Conjuring 2 worse. But I love the backstory that they were like hinting at with her. Him, whatever Valak is. That Valak was an angel, and then it became like fell. It was a fallen angel, and I think that is such a cool backstory to give Valak, especially in that ending battle where the sun is shining in and Valak sort of rises up, and it looks very much like a halo, a beautiful angelic thing. I think that it was such a beautiful shot, and really, I think that if they were to make a Nun 3, even though I wouldn't really be happy that they're making another one, because I know it's not going to be very good, I do want to see where they take us. Number 58 is going to be The Marvels. This is, I think, the last MCU movie I had to watch, and it really wasn't that good. There's not much to say here. There's nothing particularly great in this movie. Of course, it was a very controversial film. I think that it's the only MCU film since Spider-Man No Way Home that I didn't watch in cinemas. I think every single movie, 2022, 2023, obviously 2024, and 2025, every movie I watched in theaters. The Marvels, I think, is the only one I didn't watch, because I don't like Captain Marvel. I hated her first movie. And even though I liked WandaVision, I don't really care much about Monica. And I didn't watch Miss Marvel, so I didn't care about Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel also kind of just pissed me off in this movie. She talked way too much. And all this movie has is the post-credit scene. Getting Kelsey Grammer as Beast is the only good thing from this film. So yeah, on to the next one, please. Number 57 is going to be Drishyam 2. This is, another Bollywood movie that I ended up watching, like in Hindi movie, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I watched the first Drishyam last year. I quite enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it, especially as someone who has never really watched any Indian movies, despite being Indian. This one though was just pretty far-fetched. Like the first, I don't even remember much of it, but the first part showed like Vijay leaving the building and this guy runs past, but like he's like 50 meters away from him. And then 10 years later, this guy is like, oh yeah, I remember this guy's face. I'm like, what the fuck? No one can remember shit like that. So yeah, this movie I think was just full of a lot of conveniences, and overall I didn't really like it, especially compared to the first movie, which I did quite enjoy. Number 56 is going to be Eternals. This is another one of the movies of the MCU that I wanted to just get out the way, because of course I finished every MCU movie this year, and I think that Eternals is it's so sad to watch, because I think that, again, the concept here is great. I really, really enjoyed what they were setting up, but I think that the movie just drags on for way, way too long. There's no reason for this movie to be 2.5 hours. I think that if you shortened it by half an hour, or hell, maybe even 40 minutes, it could have been better. But I think, what people say might have been better. It actually would have been one of the few MCU movies that would have worked better as a show. So yeah, this was cool. Of course, I watched this after Game of Thrones, so of course I got to see the reunion between Jon Snow and Robb Stark. And also, it was really strange having Kit Harington's girlfriend in the movie be named Cersei. You cannot tell me that it was a coincidence that they casted Kit Harington in that role, a Game of Thrones actor. So yeah, I think that Eternals is pretty. It's cool. Like, it does have some cool moments. I think that Icarus is a cool antagonist, but ultimately, with the way the movie ends, knowing that these guys we're never going to see them again, doesn't really matter that much. You also get a pretty shitty post-credit scene revealing Harry Styles, which, nothing against Harry, but like, fuck off, you look nothing like Thanos. And yeah, not really much to say about this one. Number 55 is going to be Black Widow. I'm going to preface this by saying that I've never cared for Natasha. I never really liked her character, and honestly, the only thing that I ever actually liked about her was the fact that she's Scarlett Johansson. I just don't care. I always found her the most boring Avenger, and yes, I found her more boring than Hawkeye. I actually quite liked Hawkeye. But yeah, Black Widow, never cared for, so I didn't care to watch the movie. And, even watching the movie, in preparation for Thunderbolts, Taskmaster still disappointed me. I knew going into this movie that people didn't like Taskmaster, because even I remember watching the trailers back in 2020 and being like, oh, dude, Taskmaster, like the ability to mimic basically any hero's fighting style, that's awesome. And then I just heard people say for 4 years that it was pretty disappointing. And she still disappointed me. This movie wasn't really that great. It was pretty eh. I think that Yelena is easily the best thing to come out of this film. Of course, you have David Harbour, who I love in Stranger Things. I really like him here. And just the overall plot, I think, is just a bit... I did like the fact that this was like the only movie, I think, where the post-credit scene actually set up a TV show, because the post-credit scene was Yelena visiting Nat's grave and Valentina basically giving her the task of killing the man who killed her sister, Hawkeye. But yeah, overall, Black Widow I actually ended up enjoying more than I enjoyed Natasha's entire character in the Infinity Saga. Number 54 is going to be Carry On. I think this movie came out last year, and yeah, it's just okay. I had a decent time watching it. It's not bad. It's definitely a step up from, what the last thing was with Black Widow. But yeah, I kind of just enjoyed it. It's just one of those movies that you just put on just to watch. And, it was cool seeing Sofia Carson again. Of course, to me, she'll always be Evie. I love Descendants. But yeah, it was cool seeing her, even though she's barely in the film. I love Taron Egerton, of course. But yeah, to be honest, it's sort of, it's just cool. It's just all right, it's one to watch. You're not really your life isn't gonna change from it. But yeah, it's just cool. Number 53 is gonna be Moana 2. This is, I can barely remember this movie, to be completely honest with you guys. I just remember the songs being pretty eh. And apart from the animation, I didn't really get much out of this film. And for me to not remember, a movie like this is pretty monumental. And also, this is like the quietest $1 billion that a 2024 film made. So yeah, there was that. And yeah, I'm not really that excited for the remake this year, which, by the way, 10 years. We're remaking a movie that came out 10 years ago. Number 52 is going to be Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Yeah, Yeah, this is a disappointment. And this is, you know, I'm saying this. You're gonna say, "Oh, you think it's a disappointment? Watch the extended cut." I did. I did. I watched the ultimate version, whatever it's called. This movie is so painful. It's just, well, I say it's so painful. It's just, which out of a Batman versus Superman film is not what I should be saying. I should be saying this is fucking epic. It was not. And the extended version doesn't really add much. I don't even know what scenes they added, but clearly it wasn't that much because extending the movie, all it does is extend the time it takes for Batman and Superman to fight each other. And the thing is that when they do actually fight, it doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the movie. You could just watch the last like half an hour of Batman vs Superman and nothing would change from what you would have watched before that. Because throughout the movie they build towards the conflict between Superman and Batman, and then the only reason they end up fighting is Lex Luthor holding Superman's mum hostage and being like, "Kill the Batman or I kill Martha." I know that sounds nothing like him, but still. And then, yeah, they fight. Superman dies, and then I've got to watch the Justice League. Just a little fun fact: the only movie that I've ever started and never finished in my lifetime is the 2017 Justice League. I stopped that movie about halfway through because I was so bored. I think I gotta watch it in 2026. Number 51 is gonna be Mufasa the Lion King. This of course came out last year, the same day as Sonic 3, which unfortunately did not make as much as Mufasa, even though it should have made 5 times that amount. And this is a film that I started watching drunk. I watched this movie, I started it at about 1 in the morning, and I was drunk as hell, and I was actually really enjoying it because I watched the first 10 minutes of it. But then I was like, you know what? This is just, I can't watch it like this. I have to watch a film in a proper state of mind. And honestly, I think that if I did watch this while I was drunk, it would have been way more entertaining. Because this is, especially after watching Transformers 1, which is still the best movie of last year. Okay, watch this film. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it. Transformers 1 did the whole, like, friends becoming enemies thing amazingly, perfectly. Mufasa the Lion King is basically tackling the exact same story, except it does it in a much more boring fashion. I think that, you know, it being a prequel to the 2019 Lion King and not the original, I think was a very, very good idea because, of course, you can sort of make the story up as you want because there's no inbuilt attachment with that 2019 film. And also, it, you know, Scar and Mufasa being, like, not biological brothers in this movie, I don't think hurts that much, because if they were trying to connect this to the original film and said, oh yeah, they weren't brothers, I would have been pissed. But yeah, the movie just wasn't that great. I think that the voice actor for Scar, I think, just sort of switched up, you know, between, like, from one scene to the next. He was like, oh yeah, he just went from being like normal, cheery, happy guy to all of a sudden, I can help you kill my brother. That's literally what he went from. So that was kind of disappointing, and to be honest, it's really sad because The Lion King is tied with Coco for my favorite animated film of all time, and seeing this is where the franchise has gone, it's really sad. Hopefully the next one, which I'm hoping will be a Lion Guard film, will be really, really good. Number 50 is going to be Primal Fear. This is a film that my sister forced me to watch, and I didn't really enjoy it that much. I mean, there were some cool scenes. I really, really enjoyed Edward Norton's performance. I thought that he was really cool. And, you know, apart from that, wasn't really the best. I think that's because I predicted the twist, like, maybe 10 minutes after we met the titular character. And, yeah, I think the fact that I could guess what was going on, I think really ruined it for me. So, yeah, this is a movie that I think definitely would have been way better if I was just a little bit dumber. I'm not saying that if you enjoy this movie, you're dumb. I'm just saying that my brain just overcomplicated it. 49 is going to be Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. This is a film that I watched for my one friend who, fuck you, Leishan.
Leishan? No. What animal is this?
Marty.
My guy just said it was a giraffe 10 seconds ago. I don't know this one.
He told me that if I watched this, he was going to watch Transformers 1. and he didn't watch it. I sat through this, and it was for nothing. This movie was so painful. I didn't enjoy it. I know I didn't. The only thing carrying this movie from being like 10 places lower to here is Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow. He was so good in the movie, and he was just so much fun. But the movie itself that we were dealing with, I didn't give a shit about. I might watch the second and third one eventually by the time I die, just so I can look at Davy Jones in all his beautiful CGI glory. But apart from that, I don't really give a shit, to be honest. Number 48, and it breaks my heart for this to be here, is The Black Phone 2. The Black Phone is one of my favorite horror films of all time. Even though it only came out about 4 years ago, I love that movie so much, and I think that it was perfect. I can't fault it at all. So with The Black Phone 2, them basically marketing this as like, I say marketing it as, they weren't marketing it, but the fans were saying it, because obviously the studio was doing this on purpose, being like, oh yeah, you know, the grabber, he can attack you in your dreams and stuff. Obviously taking advantage of the fact that we haven't gotten a Nightmare on Elm Street movie in 16 years. They're like, oh yeah, alright, modern day Freddy Krueger, let's go. And then you watch the movie and the grabber basically can only attack Gwen in her dreams, which... I really didn't enjoy this movie. I would say that it's not bad. It's not bad, it's just meh. Because I think that everything from the first film, it's a complete step down. It really is. I think that the grabber is used way too sparingly in this movie, which I see this as a recurring thing with modern films, is that we are too afraid to give our villains lots of screen time. One movie that I will talk about later on has a villain who you meet him at the beginning of the movie and he is present throughout the entire film, and that is why he's one of the best villains of all time. Number 47 is going to be Subservience. This is the robot android movie that came out last year with Megan Fox, and obviously as a Transformers fan, I'm sort of always connected to Megan Fox, even though I didn't really like her much when I was a kid. I know most people didn't like this movie at all, but to be honest with you, I quite enjoyed it. I think that even though it is very similar to Megan, I think that I enjoyed this much more than Megan, because this was it was less silly, which Megan was sort of marketed as a horror film until obviously the dances started. And then we watched the movie and it's like, meh. So there was that. I think that the whole thing of the robot taking advantage of this guy who obviously cannot have sex with his wife, I think is genius. I say genius, but the way that it plays out in the movie, I think is way smarter than just saying, oh yeah, of course he fucks. Of course he fucks the hot robot, right? I really enjoyed this movie, and I think that people are just a bit too harsh on it, and immediately when I watched it, I was like, yeah, this is better than Megan. Number 46, and I know I'm gonna get flack for this. Number 46 is gonna be Inglourious Basterds. This is... oh god, it's a tough one to talk about. I don't like Tarantino's movies. I don't. I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood last year, and I didn't really enjoy it. I just don't like his films. People go on to praise these directors like they are the best things in the world. And if you criticize the directors for one thing, these people will be on your back. I'm standing by what I'm saying. And I'm not saying this just so I can be different, being like, oh yeah, Quentin Tarantino's movies suck. I just don't enjoy them. I think that the tones are god-awful because they switch between serious and comedic way too quickly. And you don't even know how you're supposed to feel in that moment, because something so serious will happen, but it'll be played off as like a joke. This movie is an example because I put it on wanting a good World War II movie. I was like, alright, cool. This looks nice. We got Michael Fassbender in here. Let's go. And Michael Fassbender has 2 scenes and then he dies. Which, by the way, that whole bar scene, brilliant. And then, of course, you have the opening scene, which is the peak of the film, in my opinion. Absolutely phenomenal filmmaking. And, the only reason why this movie is so high on the list, and I mentioned it 2 or 3 films ago, is because of Colonel Hans Landa. He is a phenomenal villain. He's introduced at the beginning, and you basically are with him through 85% of this movie, and he is just so phenomenal. Christoph Waltz, I think, gave one of the best performances ever in this film, and that is exactly why he won the Oscar. He is just remarkable. It really, really is. And it's such a shame that I didn't enjoy the movie itself. I wanted something more serious. Instead, I got something that had like a scary movie version of Hitler. Number 45 is gonna be Gladiator 2. Look, I love the first Gladiator. I watched it last year, and I entirely understand why it is hailed as one of the best films of all time. Because it is. So Gladiator 2 basically just remade the first movie for the first half, and then the next half, it was just like an action film. Which, you know, I'm not going to act like I hated this movie. I did really enjoy it for different aspects than the original. The original is the better story by far, but the only reason I enjoy this movie is obviously because of the dumb action, the dumb fun, which, saying that about a Gladiator film is sort of sad. But yeah, I think that the emotional scenes of this movie don't really hit, even when they kill, oh fuck, I forgot her name. Oh my god, I can't remember the actress's name. Fuck, man. Commodus's sister from the original. I can't remember her name, but yeah, her. Even when she died, I was like, oh, okay then. Joseph Quinn, I think, was really cool here. Obviously, you know, I'd seen him in Stranger Things before that, and here he's a very different character. Denzel Washington steals the show, and yeah, one of the main reasons I don't like this movie is because they imply that Maximus cheated on his wife, which, no. Maximus is a perfect man. We are not gonna go ahead and tear him down just to justify this sequel's existence. Number 44 is gonna be Captain America: Brave New World. But I don't really have much to say on this movie. I did a review of it, and it's just pretty boring. There's really nothing that great about it. I think that Isaiah Bradley, in the 2 scenes he's in, really good. And then Harrison Ford is basically carrying this movie on his back. He is damn good in this film, and especially when he is Red Hulk, you can just see the emotions on his face. Everything with Red Hulk, I think, was brilliant. But the way that they used the leader in this movie, I think, wasn't very good. And, you know, I know this may be a hot take, but I think that the leader's design in this movie is way better than what they were going to do before. I think that the whole thing of his brain coming out of his head, I think, looks way better than the stupid Frankenstein look from the comics. So yeah, like, this movie is pretty freaking boring, and people wonder why Sam is getting sidelined for Avengers Doomsday, which we don't know for sure, but I wouldn't exactly be sad if it happened. Number 43 is going to be Creep. This is a found footage film, and it was, yeah, pretty creepy. I really, really enjoyed it. You also only get 1 kill in this film, and it is damn creepy. I really, really enjoyed parts of this film. The reason why I say parts is obviously because it's a found footage film. It, of course, relies a lot on your view being obstructed and then the guy sort of jumping out from behind the wall or something like that. So, yeah, I think that it is a pretty creepy film, hence why the name, it's called Creep. But, yeah, it's not the best thing in the world, and I haven't seen the second one, but this I was a fan of. Number 42 is going to be Dangerous Animals. This is a film that came out this year where, you know, we have a serial killer who basically kills people using sharks. And that's a great concept. The only reason why this movie is this low is, well, I mean, obviously there's things higher than it. But of course, you know, you don't really get that many kills in this film. Which I think that a shark film, you should get more kills. There were some scenes which, oh my god, was so painful to watch. Mainly the part where the main girl, like, chewed off her thumb. That is, like, the most disgusting shit I've ever seen. And, you know, I'm a fan of this guy. Okay, I'm a huge fan of his films. But that, oh my god, it was so hard to watch. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Number 41 is going to be the 2017 It. This is a film which I am very, very sad to have so low, because back in 2017, I would have been, what, 10, 11? And Pennywise absolutely terrified me. You could show me a picture of him, and my body would heat up, I would freeze, I would just look away, because I would be so scared of him, even though I was never scared of clowns. So that's really strange. But seeing the movie now, obviously 8 years later, I was kind of disappointed. I say kind of. I was definitely disappointed. But I think that the main reason why that is obviously it's been 8 years. So I have seen most of the scary scenes in this movie. But even the ones I didn't see, I didn't think were very good. All the zombie scenes and the lepers scenes, I think, were just really dumb. The jump scares are so predictable in this movie. And I just didn't really enjoy it. I think that Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise is good here, but I don't think he's as good as he could have been, especially after this year. So yeah, that wasn't very great. And he's also barely in the film, so you know, whatever. Okay, number 40, I know it's going to be a hot take, but it's going to be It Chapter 2. Now, I think that It is the better film, okay? It's definitely the better film, but I enjoyed Chapter 2 more simply because I went into it expecting to be bad. Because obviously, I heard so many people praise the 2017 It, so it kind of disappointed me. I heard so many people trash It Chapter 2, and even though I already knew the whole plot, I still enjoy this movie. I think that the opening scene was actually somewhat creepier and more effective for me than the Georgie scene, which I know, sacrilege, you know, the Georgie scene with Pennywise is probably, I'd say, the most iconic opening of any horror media. But so I'm not trashing that in any way, any, you know, form of that scene, whether it's the Tim Curry version, the book version, the 2017 version. But I think that this scene with the two, with the gay couple, like getting beaten up, getting thrown over the bridge, and then Pennywise sort of reaching out and then eating his heart, I think was fucking creepy. So yeah, there was that. Of course, you know, the way Pennywise is defeated is just really, really stupid. But yeah, I really hope that if we do get more Pennywise, which we should, you know, it Welcome to Derry, I think that, you know, it really can't get worse than It Chapter 2. And even though, you know, how they concluded his character was stupid, I think that Bill Skarsgård in this movie was way better than he was in the first film. And, you know, I said it about the Georgie scene, I'll say it again. I think that the scene with the little girl under the benches is better than the Georgie scene. I really, really loved it. It was so cool seeing Bill Skarsgård act the way he did, act, you know, sad, act scared. And then as soon as, you know, he starts counting, when he starts drooling and the lines go up his head, he just freezes and he just goes, and then kills her. Creepy, creepy as hell. So yeah, It Chapter 2, the worst movie. It didn't have to be that long, like it's almost 3 hours. It didn't have to be that long, but I still enjoyed it. Number 39 is going to be Iron Man 3. This is, I know I said about the Marvels, this was actually the last MCU movie I had to watch. This was the last film, not just of the Infinity Saga, but the entirety of the MCU. And the main reason I didn't watch it is just because, number one, I never really liked Iron Man, and number two, it was so long ago, like, I'm just watching it for the sake of it. And that is basically why I watched it. And I know most people hate this movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I didn't, the first two Iron Mans I don't really care about, but you know, perhaps I should revisit them because the first one I know everyone loves. But yeah, I actually really, really enjoyed this third film. And to be honest, I think that if they made the villain, who is basically knockoff Brad Pitt, I think if they had made the villain much, much better, I forgot his name, but if they made him better, it could have been amazing. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed the whole thing with Tony's trauma after the Avengers and all that stuff. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Number 38 is gonna be The Naked Gun. This movie came out this year, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun. It was just so nice to have a movie like this where it's just like, who cares, man? Let's just have some dumb fun. Of course, I love these spoof movies, you know, scary movie, superhero movie. Of course, you know, now The Naked Gun. I never watched the originals, unfortunately, and I think that as someone who didn't watch the originals, I loved this one. It was just so cool. Liam Neeson is so good, and you know, hopefully I can eventually watch the ones with Leslie Nielsen. Number 37 is going to be Annabelle Comes Home. This is the third Annabelle film, and yeah, it was honestly barely a horror film for the first half, because basically half the film is just McKenna Grace's Judy and the two friends just sort of hanging out in the house until Danielle, who is like the older friend, does something stupid and basically lets out Annabelle and all these other things in the house. And you know, this one, I think it's creepy by the the fact that it's in a house, I think that just things being in a house, you know, like, well, specifically your protagonist's house, I think is just way creepier than like just a random family. I think McKenna Grace was really good in this movie. I mean, she always is. And, you know, I think that there were some really creepy looking things, you know, like the ferryman with like the coins in his eyes and stuff like that. That looked really cool. But yeah, I think as far as the Annabelle movies go, not the worst. Number 36 is going to be Ted. I know it has taken me forever to watch this movie, but yeah, I watched it. I found it funny. It wasn't the most hilarious thing in the world, but I love Seth MacFarlane, and you know, of course, he's just brilliant. Really, his whole thing, his whole sense of humor is just so me-coded. I absolutely love it. So yeah, basically, the movie is basically just a comedy. You know, there's not really much of a story here. And I still haven't seen the second one, but I've heard good things, especially about the show. So yeah, I enjoyed Ted, and yeah, I'm happy to watch the second one. Excited to watch the second one. Number 35 is going to be Final Destination Bloodlines. This is another film that came out this year, and you know, it just sort of felt nice to watch another Final Destination film, and I think that this one could have been the best one. I still think that 5 is the best, but this one is severely brought down by the amount of CGI kills in this movie. The gore is like, nothing is scary when it's CGI. And fair enough, the Final Destination movies are never scary. They're never scary. But why do you go so goofy and stupid with the kills? This is the point in Final Destination where they know what these movies are. They know what people want from these movies. That doesn't mean you must just make it a full-on comedy. But of course, this was, you know, the goodbye to the late Tony Todd. And really, I didn't think that a Final Destination movie would ever make me cry. And yet, yeah, him giving his last goodbye to the audience, to his fans, to Final Destination fans, I think is just, it's something that many people wish they could do. And that is to basically, you know, give a goodbye when they know that they are unfortunately going to pass away. Because of course, many actors do not know when their time is coming. But with Tony Todd, he knew, and he wanted to make the most of it. So I respect the hell out of him. I mean, I already did, but come on, man. He is literally the GOAT. Number 34 is going to be Ballerina. This is the John Wick spin-off film with Ana de Armas, and to be honest with you, this movie is mainly elevated by the third act, because of course that is when you have John Wick in this movie. And I think that for the most part, it's just a very safe like recreation of the first John Wick film. It's of course a revenge movie, and I think that it being connected to John Wick Chapter 3 does sort of make me like it a little bit less, because I really did not enjoy Chapter 3 at all. It's by far my least favorite John Wick film, and is the only thing that's stopping me from saying that that is a perfect franchise. Now, I think that Keanu was fucking awesome in this movie. I loved the fight scenes. I love the gore. Of course, I love Ana de Armas. She is stunning. But also, you know, all the stunts that she did is just fantastic. So, yeah, this wasn't the most memorable film in the world, but I think that if you just want a fun action film, especially if you like John Wick, then I think that this is good. Number 33 is going to be Crawl. This is the alligator film where basically the characters are stuck in the crawl space and the alligators are slowly coming in once it's flooded. And to be honest with you, with such a simple premise, I'm amazed that this movie was, you know, this good. I quite enjoyed the characters we had, even though, you know, there's only two of them, the main girl and her dad. I think that the way they used the alligators was pretty cool, even though, you know, of course there are times when the CGI is like, I mean, this is a creature feature, but still, I think that it was just a simple little movie that I think is perfectly fine just to watch, and I think that you can have some dumb fun out of it. 32 is going to be Together. This is the movie that came out this year with Alison Brie and Dave Franco, and honestly, this is just a really weird film, and I kind of like it for it just because it's so out there and crazy, and it's just like some nice like body horror, and it's it can be disgusting to watch at times, especially when they were, you know, doing it in the bathroom and he got stuck. I was like, oh my god, that's gonna hurt so much. It is body horror done perfectly. So yeah, I think that this movie is just so weird and mental, and I think that if you like feeling uncomfortable and, you know, like flinching and stuff, I think that this movie is perfect for you. Number 31 is going to be Annabelle Creation. This is by far the best Annabelle film. I love this one. It's just so good. I mean, of course, it is a way better Annabelle prequel than the first Annabelle movie. I hate the first Annabelle film with a burning passion. It's just so worthless. And the way that this film not only connects to The Conjuring, but also the first Annabelle film, while also giving a phenomenal story throughout the film, I think is brilliant. I love the certain shots you get here of Malthus, most notably the one under the stairs. That's scary as hell. It's just a really creepy film, and I think is, apart from the first two Conjuring films, by far the best movie in this entire universe. Number 30 is going to be Megan 2.0. This is such a stupid movie because the first Megan film I was not really that huge of a fan of because, of course, due to the dance and stuff blowing up on TikTok, it basically just had all the stuff removed, like all the blood and stuff, so I wasn't really that excited for this, and it ended up being a complete failure, but I watched it at home, of course, just to have some stupid fun, and yes, this movie is 0% horror, all action, all comedy, but to be completely honest with you, for some dumb fun, I think that this was a great time. It is so stupid and ridiculous, and to be honest with you, I think that you would have even more fun with this film if you were drunk. But yeah, Megan 2.0, it's a horrible horror film, but I think that is just such a fun little ride. Number 29 is a big one, and this is Oppenheimer, of course the biggest film of 2023, I want to say. And yeah, I really liked Oppenheimer. I think that this was fantastic. Christopher Nolan, of course, still has not disappointed, and I think that Cillian Murphy, even in this movie, just proves that he is the master of a blank face, because this man can have the most pale, bland, emotionless face in the world, but he can convey a million emotions with it, and there's a reason he won the Oscar. Of course, my high school wasn't that long ago, so of course, I do know most of the scientists and all of these people who made these discoveries that show up throughout the film, but I think that the reason why this movie is lower than I would have put it is just because obviously it's a very complex film, so there's a lot of characters here who you honestly can forget about, and even when there's the twist that the one guy was a spy, I'm like, who the hell was that? And I wasn't the only person, thankfully. And yeah, I just wasn't really a fan of certain really complicated scenes, but most of the scenes in this movie, I'd say 99% of them, to be fair, are just absolute perfection, and this is the movie that really just goes to prove all the haters wrong. You may hate the casting choice of Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. This man is a great actor, and Oppenheimer shows he can play a villain damn well. Number 28 is going to be Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I know that this is most people's favorite Harry Potter film. I just didn't jive with this one, I'm sorry. It just sort of feels like an episode of a TV show to me. It doesn't really feel like something that's worthy of an entire film. Of course, I love Gary Oldman, so the movie basically being centered around his character, I think is great. As Sirius, of course, he was fantastic. I just don't really like the whole time travel thing where you go back and basically redo, you should re-show things from the film that you are literally just watching. But of course, in a different context and, different mind space and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't think there's a single bad Harry Potter film. It's just that, one of them has to be at the bottom. And this is definitely the one that I enjoyed the least. Number 27 is going to be Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. And this is basically purely because I was so confused watching this movie, and of course my opinion on it has changed since then, because of course I know where things go, I know what happens in the movie itself, but to be honest, the first time I watched this movie, I didn't really enjoy it much, even though my sister told me it was her favorite. It was just, I don't know, I was so confused. I was like, why the hell is Draco playing with this cupboard looking thing? What is Snape doing? It's just so confusing to, and honestly, when Dumbledore died, I was a bit sad, but I don't really care. But obviously now, I of course see how good this movie is. I just didn't really want to move it up too high, because of course that is sort of unfair. Number 26 is going to be Novocaine. This is it's just a lot of fun. It's a fun, gory action film, and honestly, Jack Quaid, of course, he's funny as hell, but I really liked the beginning part of this movie to where they really showed how, you know, people who can't feel pain, I can't remember what the condition is called, but, you know, it shows that it's not a superpower. It is a disability. They have to be super cautious of where they go, what they eat, and I think that that was really, really powerful stuff. And then, of course, the movie does go into what you expect, and that is a just pure action gore fest, and I absolutely loved it. It was a lot of fun. But I just feel like there were certain story elements which just didn't really work that well, mainly in like the third act. So I just feel like if they had touched it up a little bit, this could have been way higher on the list. Number 25 is going to be Superman. This also came out this year, and I know that, you know, looking at it, putting Superman above any of the Harry Potter films seems like an absolute crime. But to be honest with you, this is mainly up here just because it felt so nice to have what felt like a classic old school superhero film, to where, you know, it's not super complex. There's not like 1,000,001 things that you have to know before watching this movie. You just go into it and have fun, and I really, really enjoyed it. I loved Lex Luthor, I loved Superman, I loved the score. It was a lot of fun. I just think that the only thing that hinders this movie is the fact that even though it's the first film in the DCU, it just felt a little unfocused. There's too much stuff going on, and for it being a solo film, I think that it is just a bit too much. Number 24 is going to be Heart Eyes. This was the Valentine's Day horror film, basically a Scream movie, and this was just so good. I loved this movie. It was amazing. It was so much fun from beginning to the third act. And I think that Mason Gooding, and I forgot the main actress's name, but their chemistry was just so good. I love the design of the Heart Eyes killer, and I even love how the main characters ended up in the situation where they ended up being hunted by the Heart Eyes killer. So yeah, that was really good. Of course, I love the cast in this film. The only reason why it's so low is because the killer reveal and that whole third act is just a bit, you know, classic Scream stuff. But yeah, overall, a lot of fun. Number 23 is going to be Harry Potter Deathly Hallows Part 1. This is very much the middle child of the Harry Potter films because, of course, you have Half-Blood Prince, which is like the big like event, like causing movie. Then, of course, you have Deathly Hallows Part 2, which is the end game. Deathly Hallows Part 1 is that middle child. And I see a lot of people putting this one at the bottom because plot-wise, not much happens here. And it's just a lot of talking, really. But I really, really enjoyed it. I think that for the characters, it was really good. That, you know, exploring how each of them felt, especially towards each other, was really good. So yeah, I really enjoyed this film. Number 22 is going to be Harry Potter The Chamber of Secrets. This is the only Harry Potter movie which I have ever seen prior to 2025. I watched it when I was very young. And the only part I remembered was Harry stabbing the basilisk and getting stabbed by the tooth. That's all I remembered. But I really enjoyed this movie. I really, really did. So, yeah, you know, it was just a nice little simple movie. Number 21 is going to be Baywatch. This is the last film that I watched in 2025, and I just love this. This is what I'm dubbing Tits the Movie. Because, look, obviously, I'm a straight male. And, you know, I respect women, obviously. But I'm not going to say no to a movie where 80% of it is just showing women running in slow motion with a cut perfectly just showing their goods. I know I'm gonna sound like a dick there, but like just calm down. It's a joke. It's a joke. Number 20 is gonna be Predator Killer of Killers. This is an absolute badass. This is just a badass film, honestly. And Dan Trachtenberg, he hasn't missed. The Predator franchise is still going strong, and Killer of Killers was such a huge surprise. I loved every segment of this movie. The only thing that holds it back from being a 10 out of 10 is Torres. I think that he's easily the weakest part. And, you know, if you just made his role serious, this would have been a phenomenal 10 out of 10 perfect film. So yes, Killer of Killers. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. Number 19 is gonna be Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Yes, Philosopher's Stone. Okay, only Americans call it Sorcerer's Stone. Look, this is just obviously, it's back to the, the small scale, little simpler times of Harry Potter. Of course, the first film, I think that it does a phenomenal job at introducing you to the universe. And obviously, as someone who has never read the books, the movies are, that's all my knowledge of Harry Potter. So yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed this film. And I just think that it's a nice, cute little, just enjoyable film. And, especially, given how dark the movies get going onwards, I think that this film, especially when they're all like so small and young, I just think that it's such a fun film to watch. So yeah, you can't watch this film and not get addicted to this franchise. Number 18 is going to be Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. This is another film that came out this year and basically marked the end of the Mission Impossible franchise, which is easily like it's top 10 definitely for best movie franchise ever. It's practically a perfect franchise. Even Mission Impossible 2 is the worst film in that franchise, and for that being your worst film, you have a damn good track record, because this was just a phenomenal run. And for Final Reckoning, I just wanted to have a lot of fun, and that's exactly what I got. You have some amazing action sequences here. And, it's not the best Mission Impossible film. I still think Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, and Fallout were better. But this was still damn good. I mean, those films that I just mentioned are practically like flawless films. This one, I just think, there were like little bits of the story that didn't really make 100% sense. But as far as the things that you go to these movies for, which is the action, it more than delivers, and I think more than makes up for the little narrative issues that you have. So yeah, I think that if you are a Mission Impossible fan, that, well, you probably have already seen this movie, but if you haven't, then please watch all 8 films and your life will change. Number 17 is going to be The Conjuring: Last Rites. This is such a weird movie for me because it's such a terrible horror film. Like, if you go to this movie expecting to be scared, which is what most people go to for, right? If you go to this movie expecting to be scared, you will be severely disappointed, because much like his other films, which I've spoken about, Michael Chavez just cannot craft scares. He's so bad at it. And honestly, the writing in this movie, while it wasn't the worst thing in the world, I would have liked, the demons to have some sort of personality, the entities, spirits. But really, I went into this movie just expecting a great send-off to Ed and Lorraine Warren. Obviously, they are my favorite horror couple ever. Probably my favorite couple, I think, in all of fiction. And that's exactly what I got. I was smiling so much throughout this movie because I'd say 60% of it is just them chilling at home, talking with Judy, talking with, I forgot it, Tony, I think his name was. And it's just so enjoyable. It's a terrible horror film because there's not much horror in it, but I really loved everything to do with the Warrens and their family, because obviously we've been following these characters for so long, and I couldn't have been happier. I really couldn't have been happier. The ending of this film is my favorite ending to any movie of this year, and I think that it's my favorite ending to any of the Conjuring films. I think The Conjuring 2 is the only one that comes close. But here I was literally in tears. It was so good. And yeah, much like Final Destination, never expected a Conjuring film to make me cry. So yeah, thank you to, what's his name, Michael Chavez for this film. But please, for your future projects, at least make them scary. Number 16 is going to be Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. This is obviously the follow-up to Goblet of Fire. And I, spoilers ahead, I love Goblet of Fire. And of course, this is just another banger for this franchise. I say this franchise, obviously I know they're based on books, so obviously the book readers will probably not like this movie that much, because Order of the Phoenix is by far the thickest Harry Potter book. Like, if you like, obviously near my campus there's a bookstore, and I just love going to the Harry Potter section knowing I'll never read the books. But you look at all the things, even Deathly Hallows, which is the one they split into 2 movies, and Order of the Phoenix is like so much wider. It's insane. So yeah, I did enjoy this movie. I can understand it being confusing. There's a lot of confusing things here, but I think especially on rewatch, much like Half-Blood Prince, it is much, much better. And of course, you get Voldemort in all his glory here. So yeah, that was a really, really cool scene, by the way. And yeah, it was sad to see Sirius Black die, but this was a good one. This was a really, really good one. It also gave us like one of the most hateable characters in all of fiction. Fuck you, Dolores. Number 15 is gonna be Pacific Rim. This is a movie that people have been asking me to watch for so long. And when I say people, I'm talking about like people in school. Okay, before I started the channel, people have been telling me you've got to watch Pacific Rim. You've got to watch Pacific Rim because, of course, I love Transformers, and I always talk about how phenomenal the CGI is in those movies. And they were like, if you like Transformers, you've got to watch this. So I decided in 2025, you know what? I'm gonna watch this, and man, that was badass. That was really fucking cool. I really enjoyed the story. I loved the premise. I loved the like insane origin for how the kaijus come to our planet. I think that was absolutely mental. Of course, the CGI on the robots, I forgot what you call them, the mechs, whatever the fuck they're called in the movie. I thought that they looked absolutely phenomenal. The physics with the water was just brilliant. And overall, visually, I cannot knock this movie at all. It is absolutely fantastic. And I think that if you just want giant robots fighting, well, human-controlled robots fighting kaijus, I don't know what else is going to be better, to be honest with you. Number 14 is going to be an absolute classic, and I'm so happy I got to watch it, is The Terminator. This is obviously one of the most iconic movies of all time, and I really, really enjoyed it. This was so, so good. Arnold was genuinely scary in this movie. When I watched it, before I watched it, I was like, okay, this is going to be a fun action film. Nope. Nope. I think that the Terminator is a genuinely scary character, and of course, Terminator 2, I have heard, is even better, and of course, I know that that's where he becomes good. But yeah, he's a horror villain here. He is damn scary, despite of course delivering some iconic lines like the "I'll be back." But yeah, I think that this was just phenomenal, truly phenomenal, and it just makes me even sadder, just looking at this movie and seeing how they wasted Linda Hamilton in Stranger Things season 5. Number 13 is going to be Avatar: Fire and Ash. I know I'm putting Avatar this high on the list. It's probably recency bias, but I really enjoyed this movie. I think that as far as a visual, just as far as the visuals go, you're not going to get anything better than this. This is absolutely stunning, and I think the Avatar films are such weird ones to talk about because if you hate them, you're just part of this crowd of people who do the exact same thing. But if you do love them, you are gonna get absolutely bashed with like death threats and like your family's gonna get killed. Like that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying you can't even defend the Avatar films, because these movies do well, and then as soon as they're done in the theaters, no one talks about them. People absolutely hate them. But I really enjoyed all the Avatar films, and this one I think could have been better. I definitely think it could have been better. Flesh out the villain a bit more, because she is played by the actress who plays Talisa Stark in Game of Thrones. So I had a bit of hype, but it turns out all she was just a really horny, like, evil leader. So that was kind of disappointing. But I really wish they had done more with the Fire Tribe. I think that in Way of Water, we had spent so much time learning about the water, the aquatic Na'vi. I think that even though they are evil, we should have spent more time with the Fire Tribe. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie, and to be honest with you, I just think that we need to get rid of Quaritch. I don't know why this man is still here. We have exhausted him as a villain. Please get someone else. Number 12 is going to be Primitive War. This is the only other dinosaur film that came out this year apart from Jurassic World Rebirth, and this was fucking awesome. This is what I want from a dinosaur movie, and it's probably because Jurassic World Rebirth was such a pile of shit that I probably enjoyed this movie way more than I would have otherwise. This was such a simple movie, and even though the explanation as to how the dinosaurs came back is so unbelievably bonkers, and you will never think of it, given all the marketing of this movie, you will never guess how the dinosaurs are here. I think it's insane. I loved the fact that it was gory. It's so good. I mean, you literally have a scene where the Quetzalcoatlus stabs a guy in the gut and like licks his intestines out and pulls it out like a noodle. That is fucking awesome. And I just wish the Jurassic franchise was wasn't like so scared to go to this level of gore. And it's just awesome. It really is. I know obviously there's controversies surrounding the people who made the movie and all this stuff, but honestly, currently, I don't give a shit. I'm looking at the movie itself. The movie is damn good. Such a simple movie. And I think that if you want dinosaurs fucking people up, you're not going to get anything better than Primitive War. At least, not for now. Number 11 is going to be Fantastic Four: The Rise of the Silver Surfer. This is, of course, the sequel to the 2005 Fantastic Four movie. And, I watched that last year. Really enjoyed it. And this movie, I think, is leagues better. This is just so much fun. I love the Silver Surfer in this movie. I think the team dynamic is even better. I love the fact that they are able to, like, switch their powers and stuff. Doctor Doom, I do think, is really shoehorned in here. And, rest in peace, Julian McMahon, of course. But I still feel like, even though he was better than he was in the first movie, particularly in the third act, I just feel like he was just sort of shoved in here just to be like, yeah, here's Doctor Doom. It doesn't really make much sense. But yeah, I think that just for the amount of, like, how funny this movie was, how much fun it was, it would be a crime to not have me put it this high. So yes, I absolutely love this movie. And even though I think that First Steps is the best Fantastic Four movie, this is by far my favorite one. And speaking of Fantastic Four, number 10 is going to be Fantastic Four: First Steps. I think that this is really mainly just this high because it's the only narratively good Fantastic Four movie. I really enjoyed them as a team here. But, to be honest with you, the only thing that's sort of holding me back with this movie is just obviously how sort of safe it was. I think that given that it was a different universe, I thought that we could just sort of do whatever to the world that the writers wanted. But no, Galactus got sent away. So I am somewhat happy that the world didn't get destroyed, but Galactus obviously went to like the edge of the universe, whatever. And the day was saved, and it didn't connect to the post-credit scene of Thunderbolts, which I found really strange. This movie also has by far like my least favorite MCU post-credit scene. I hate this so much just because Doctor Doom looks so cheap and ugly, and he looks like a 12-year-old cosplaying from something he bought at a China shop. That's how bad it looks. The mask doesn't even look like metal. So I hate that. But as far as the team goes, I think that Pedro Pascal was a phenomenal Reed Richards. He's the best Reed Richards, but probably the second worst Mr. Fantastic. Okay, he really was not a good Mr. Fantastic at all. He barely did anything with his powers, so there was that. Vanessa Kirby, of course, I love her. She was damn good and is easily the best out of these four, both as Sue and as, what's her name? Invisible Woman. Joseph Quinn, of course, I love from Stranger Things, and I think that he was the best Johnny Storm that we have had. I love Chris Evans' version, but this was just so good. And the Thing, meh, he could have been better. But yeah, really enjoyed this movie. Loved Galactus. I love the Silver Surfer. And I think that they are the main reasons why this is above Rise of the Silver Surfer. It's just because I think that the villains in this movie are done way better. Number 9 is going to be Weapons. This is Zach Cregger's movie after Barbarian, and I really enjoyed this film. I think that it was creepy as hell. I did enjoy the whole like segmented thing to where you are basically going through the same the same day, but you're going through it through different characters' perspectives, and they will eventually link to each other. I think that this movie was just amazing. The only thing that let it down was the ending, because the ending is utter rubbish. Of course, the conflict gets resolved. I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't seen it, but the conflict gets resolved, and then the movie ends maybe less than 2 minutes later. So yeah, wasn't really a fan of that. But the movie itself, fantastic. Really like the villain in this movie. Julia Garner, obviously, she played Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four First Steps. She's amazing here. Josh Brolin, of course, I love him. So, yeah. And also, I think apart from the Junkies segment, I think we could have skipped that one. So, yeah. Apart from those minor things, I really, really love this movie. Number 8 is going to be The Long Walk. This is a Stephen King adaptation, and to be honest with you, this is such a simple premise of a film that you don't know how you can ever make a full feature-length film out of it, and I absolutely adored this movie. I say adored. It was the most heartbreaking movie that I watched this year. It was so depressing and bleak and sad and violent, but man, it was damn good. It was really, really good, and I would say that it is probably Stephen King's best, the best Stephen King adaptation. Definitely better than the It movies. Coming at number 7 is going to be Predator: Badlands. This is the second Predator movie to come out this year, and honestly, after Prey, after Killer of Killers, Dan Trachtenberg has given me no reason to not trust him, despite the very different premise of this movie. I absolutely loved this. This was so, so good. And honestly, I would say it's the Transformers 1 of this year, where it is such an amazing film, but I think that people just aren't gonna watch it because they are not fans of the Predator being the main character. But this was such an awesome movie. It was so cool. The CGI was great. I loved Elle Fanning in this movie, despite them removing her best asset. Thanks, Thea. Oh wait, no, Thea was the other one. What was the other one? Tessa. And also thanks to Thea's lower half. But yeah, I really, really love this movie. I think that it was practically perfect, to be honest. I think that apart from maybe fleshing out Tessa a bit more, and obviously, adding on a Alien vs. Predator tease, I don't really think there's much more you could have done to improve this movie. I think that it was just so much fun. I think that it's good for both younger fans and adults, because obviously there's no human blood in this movie, which is why they were able to get away with a PG-13 rating. But yeah, I love this movie, and to be honest, I think it might be my new favorite Predator film. And just missing out the top 5, which is really, really sad to say, is going to be Thunderbolts. Obviously, this was by far the best comic book movie that came out this year, in my opinion. It absolutely trumps the rest, and I just love this movie. It was so, so good, because obviously the main theme of this film is depression and self-worth, and to be honest with you, you either understand this movie or you are lucky. Obviously, this is like the quote-unquote like Avengers movie here, because of course you are bringing in a lot of different characters from different projects. You have Ghost, Yelena, Red Guardian, John Walker, even bringing in the new character, which is Bob, who is by far the best character in this movie. This is just such a depressing movie, but it is so, so funny, and it's just amazing. It really, really is so good seeing Marvel go from Captain America Brave New World to Thunderbolts. It's like night and day. So yes, I can't really say much more about Thunderbolts than I said in my review. But I think that this movie is a 10 out of 10. I really, really loved it. And it's a shame that it just missed out on the top 5. But ultimately, this is where I'm going to have to put it. But yes, I think that this is definitely the first step that Marvel took in the right direction. Coming in number 5 is going to be Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Obviously, this, is the big, end game movie for the Harry Potter films. And look, it was mostly great. Slight issue, but mostly great. Really, my main issue with it is that ultimately, after so many films building up to it, Voldemort didn't really do anything and was defeated way too easily. It was extremely disappointing, and I honestly thought that he was better in Order of the Phoenix, even freaking Half-Blood Prince, Deathly Hallows Part 1. He was better as a background mustache-twirling villain. I think that when he's front and center of everything, I don't really think he's that great. Because even in that scene in Goblet of Fire, he is just so, so good and awesome. This movie, But yeah, I really enjoyed it for the most part. I think that the endings that all the characters have are, of course, brilliant. Obviously, again, haven't read the books. I don't give a shit about the ending there. But as far as the movies go, love the ending, even though I think that Harry throwing the wand away was stupid. I even like the fact that, they actually do kill off kids. They don't go, oh, well, we gotta make it a bit more friendly, like movies nowadays. Well, okay, non-horror films, because here, you see children dying, you see like young children dying, and it is pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty awesome. So yeah, Deathly Hallows Part 1, really freaking good. Coming number 4 is going to be Rise of the Guardians. This is a movie that I have technically seen before, but I do not remember anything about this movie. The only thing I remembered when I watched it was that Sandman died. And, I'm going to be honest with you, this was really freaking good, because it's one of those movies that just makes you feel like a kid again. And of course, I love Christmas, even though this year it didn't really feel that Christmassy, overall, in the world. But I really enjoyed this movie. Of course, I watched this, ages ago. I watched like 10 months ago. But I loved it. I really did. I love Jack Frost. I love of course, Pitch Black. I mean, he is just an amazing villain. I love how scary he is. I love that you can somewhat sympathize with him, but he's still an evil motherfucker. He's creepy. His voice is fantastic. This whole thing about the kids believing or not believing in these these entities like the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, all that. Really enjoyed that. So yeah, I think that Rise of the Guardians was just so much fun, and really, I think that this is a movie that you have to show your kids at some point in life. Coming in number 3 is finally the final Harry Potter film, and that is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I loved this movie, and the thing is, even it made it to 3rd place, even with the environment I watched it in, because I watched this movie on a plane. Okay, many of you may know, in January I went to India, and obviously, South Africa to Dubai to India, then obviously, coming back Dubai to India to Dubai, and then back home. That's a lot of hours. So I ended up watching the Harry Potter films, and this was one that I was interested in, because I was just sort of like, okay, I thought that we were gonna have Voldemort be a more prominent presence, but I do sort of like this build-up, and especially seeing Robert Pattinson, I was like, what? Batman's here? Obviously, I never watched Twilight, so I don't give a shit about that. But holy crap, that was really freaking cool. I was like, right, this is gonna be cool, man. Then he dies. Now, I'll be honest with you, one of the main reasons that I really loved this movie back in January was, first of all, because of just how fun the concept was, but also, I thought that they established Voldemort as a great villain instantly, because for some odd reason, I think maybe it was just because of the lighting. Obviously, again, I was watching it on a plane, the window light shines through. It was kind of hard to see stuff sometimes with these movies, and I thought that Voldemort was the one that killed Cedric. That's why I was like, holy shit. Dude, Voldemort is not playing around. But no, yes, he gave the order, but ultimately it was Wormtail. But yeah, I just love this one. This is by far my favorite Harry Potter film. It was such a fun concept. The way that they were able to make it enjoyable, but also, obviously weave in all of the serious stuff that'll come in later, mainly with Voldemort, I think was really good. The only thing about this one that I don't like is Ron. Ron, man. What are we doing? Why are we being the moody, jealous bitch this time? I wasn't a fan of it. I really wasn't. And also, everyone's hair in this movie is just super grown up. But really, that's not really a negative. To me, this film was a perfect blend of, developing the plot, having just a good story overall, and just having fun. It was really fun. So yeah, Goblet of Fire is easily my favorite Harry Potter film. So it comes in at number 3. And now, we reach the top 2, which is sort of insane. And, number 2 is going to be F1 the movie. Now, I am going to preface this, right? When I watched this movie, I didn't watch Formula 1. I didn't give a shit about it. I didn't care about cars. I say didn't. I still don't really care about cars that much. I just sort of watched it because my friends were going to go watch it. I was like, you know what? I'll go. I wasn't going to go watch it for the movie. I was just watching it because I hadn't seen my friends in like 3 months. So, there was that. Then I sat down, I watched it, and as someone who has never watched a Formula 1 race, I thought that this was like the coolest movie of the year. This was so cool. Now, as of filming this, I am starting to begin my beginner level education of Formula 1, okay? My sister absolutely loves it, so she was obviously upset she didn't get to see the movie. But I'm like on season 3 of Drive to Survive, so basics, okay? Basics, chill. So obviously, there's things that I wouldn't really understand. A lot of things I won't understand. Of course, when they film this movie, the teams probably are nothing like what I'm looking at right now. But of course, I'm not gonna watch from season 4, 5 onwards. I'm gonna start at season 1. So I know that has nothing to do with the movie, but I love this movie. I've seen it twice and I enjoyed it both times. I think that it is just so cool. It's like an old-fashioned sports movie. It was just so awesome. I think that it has the best score of any movie this year. Hans Zimmer. Oh my god. Look, I know that Hans Zimmer is like a renowned composer, right? He's probably my favorite composer. I genuinely do think that this could be his best work. I loved the score of this film. I could not get, oh my god, I couldn't get it out of my head. I love it. Even like if I'm just doing like arbitrary activities, if I'm washing the dishes or like exercising, or yes, I exercise. I know it doesn't look like it, but I try. If I'm like cleaning up or whatever, I'll put the main F1 score on, and it is so freaking good. So yeah, of course, another thing that makes this movie work are the actors. I think that Damson Idris was really good. I hope, fingers crossed, he can be the next Black Panther. And Brad Pitt, I think, is the perfect guy to get to play a character who is a dick, but you love them. So, it sort of works both ways. I think that he was way better here than in Inglourious Basterds, I will say that. But yeah, I loved F1 the movie. I thought that it was just so freaking awesome. Will I like it less now that I have actually seen things from the real Formula 1? I don't know. I will wait and see, because obviously this movie should theoretically be less cool to me. But yeah, that is the runner-up, and that is F1. So, what on God's green earth could number 1 be? The movie that I deem to be the best of the entire year, best of anything that I've watched in 2025. I think that there's only one real champion here, and that is going to be number 1, Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler. This is, oh my god, what a story. Look, when I first watched this movie, it was a very interesting experience because, of course, many people know my hearing isn't the best in the world, okay? It's not 100%, and plus cinema audio, but also the main thing that I really struggled with were the accents. Watching this in a cinema was the biggest pain in the ass for me, because I understood maybe 25% of the dialogue of this movie, because obviously everyone speaks with these like really strong Western accents, and I didn't understand what they were saying for most of the movie. So that sucked. But that being said, I walked out of it kind of on it. I was like, you know what? I'll give it a 7. For the filmmaking alone, give it a 7. I didn't really care for it that much, so much so that when the ending came, I didn't even realize that Smoke had died. I was just like, oh, okay, he's hallucinating. Okay. Nope, he died. But then, of course, it released on digital. And this was an interesting movie because I was like, you know what? Everyone praises this thing so much. I need to watch it with subtitles. I need it. Because most of the time, if there's a movie that I watch in cinemas, as soon as it comes out on digital, I watch reaction videos, I watch people's thoughts on it, all of that. This time I was like, no, I'm going to basically try and experience this movie for the first time again. And I absolutely loved this movie. This was just a remarkable piece of filmmaking. Everything about this film is perfect. The way they use the vampires, the way that Michael B. Jordan is able to play twins perfectly. I mean, he played, they were so different to one another, and it was incredible. You genuinely forget that sometimes they are the same guy. I think that the music in this film was it was phenomenal. I said that F1 had the best score. Sinners has the best soundtrack of 2025. You have I Lied to You. You have Dangerous. And then you have my second most played song on Spotify Wrapped, that being the Rocky Road to Dublin. Obviously, yes, I know it's not an original song, but it's easily my favorite. I listen to the song basically every day. Like when it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Again, much like I said with the F1 score, any arbitrary activities, except it's pretty much every day because, TMI, I guess. But before I even get in the shower, I was like, right, Rocky Road to Dublin, done. Even if I'm driving, that's the first thing I'm putting on. So yeah, love that song, love that scene. The way the movie just uses all the themes so perfectly. The way that they wrote certain things, like with Remick being Irish, of course, that whole thing played in perfectly with the vampires obviously taking over the African Americans and basically colonizing them, very much like how Remick, an Irishman, was colonized. I think was just genius. And the best way to describe Sinners is a movie that reminds us why we love movies. This is just absolutely phenomenal. It's not, look, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's the best thing to ever exist, but it's the best thing that came out this year, and there's no competition in my eyes. Absolutely nothing. I saw it in cinemas, I saw it at home. I told my sister to watch it, and when I was walking up to my room, she said, oh, I thought you were going to watch it with me. And I was like, oh, okay, fine, I'll watch it again. So I've seen this movie 3 times, and I want to watch it a 4th time, man. I love this film so much. I think that it's absolutely genius. And really, this doesn't need a sequel. If they were to ever, for some reason continue this franchise, I think the only thing I would accept is a Remick prequel. I don't want a sequel. I don't want an unnecessary prequel. But yeah, Ryan Coogler, you are an absolute creative genius for this film. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to have to wrap up the video. I'm really hoping that this didn't end up being as long as it's definitely not as long as the last video, but I'm hoping it wasn't too long of a video. Thank you so much for sitting through it. If you did, you're an absolute champion. And of course, I will probably do the same thing next year, except I might not give explanations for everything. I might just say, like, number 69, Avengers Doomsday, number 68, The Odyssey. I might just do that. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I don't know when it's going to be out, but it's definitely, in 2026. I mean, I'm recording this on New Year's Day. So yes, please let me know what you guys thought of the rankings here. Bear in mind, they are very different movies ranked against each other, also ranked on my personal experiences with them. So yeah, please do not give me flack for putting Superman above like half the Harry Potter films, okay? just anything and everything. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, then please leave a like, subscribe, and goodbye.